There is a moment in Medea when something goes wrong, not in the story, but in the audience. By that point, nothing surprising has happened. Jason's betrayal is already clear. Medea's suffering has been carefully established. Every emotional step has been laid out in advance. And yet, suddenly, the listener realizes they are no longer standing where they thought they were. The horror does not arrive all at once. It arrives late. This is Euripides' trick. He does not confront us with an unspeakable act and demand immediate condemnation. He does something far more dangerous. He invites us into understanding. Slowly, persuasively, he allows us to settle there, to feel secure in our judgment. And only after we are comfortable does he reveal what that position actually entails. The murder of Medea's children is not designed to shock us into moral clarity. It is designed to show us how unreliable clarity becomes once understanding feels complete. This is not a play about rage spiraling out of control. It is a play about reasoning that never breaks. From the beginning, Medea's suffering is made intelligible. Jason has not merely abandoned her. He has dismantled her life with methodical precision. He has exchanged her for political advantage, social legitimacy, and security in Corinth. And in doing so, he has stripped her of every structure that once protected her. She is a foreigner in a hostile city, a woman without independent standing, a person whose usefulness has expired. Euripides insists that we see this clearly. He does not allow Medea's anger to float free of its causes. Every grievance is grounded. Every loss is concrete. Jason's betrayal is not romantic cruelty. It is structural violence, carried out politely and defended endlessly. Jason explains himself. He always does. He speaks in the language of prudence and progress. He claims that his new marriage is reasonable, even generous. He presents his betrayal as responsibility. Against this, Medea speaks with devastating clarity. She does not beg. She does not exaggerate. She does not confuse emotion with argument. She names exactly what has been done to her and why it matters. She exposes the emptiness of Jason's justifications without theatrics. Her pain is not chaotic. It is lucid. And that is where Euripides begins to tighten the trap. Because the audience does not merely sympathize with Medea, they recognize her. Her reasoning aligns too neatly with their own sense of justice. Jason wronged her. Such a wrong demands response. To leave it unanswered would itself feel immoral. Understanding her feels like moral seriousness. It feels like insight. Euripides knows exactly how seductive this feeling is. The audience of Greek tragedy prided itself on discernment. These were people trained to weigh arguments, to trace responsibility, to see beyond appearances. To understand suffering was already considered a virtue, not a weakness. Euripides exploits that confidence. As Medea speaks, the audience does not simply feel for her. They feel right to feel for her. They sense that they are resisting shallow judgment, that they are seeing something deeper than easy condemnation would allow. And Medea rewards that trust. She builds her case patiently. Jason wronged her. The harm was total. Therefore, the response must be total as well. Partial punishment would trivialize the injury. Anything less than complete destruction would leave the moral balance uncorrected. This is not madness. It is moral consistency. And because nothing she has said yet requires refusal, the audience follows her. Not because they approve of what is coming, but because the premises have already been accepted. By the time Medea speaks of killing her children, the logic is already in place. The decision does not feel like a rupture in reasoning. It feels like its conclusion. That is what makes it unbearable. Her final act does not erupt from confusion or frenzy. It emerges from coherence. Medea applies without exception the very values the world of the play has already taught us to respect: honor, reciprocity, the refusal to accept humiliation, the demand that betrayal be answered fully. Jason has destroyed her future. Therefore, his future must be destroyed as well. The children are not collateral damage. They are not an accident. They are the final point of leverage in a system that has already reduced Medea herself to leverage. And here Euripides commits his most unsettling move. He refuses to let Medea's love for her children contradict her reasoning. She loves them. The play insists on it. She hesitates. She mourns. She names the horror of what she's about to do with absolute clarity. There is no self-deception, no moral fog. These moments are not there to redeem her. They are there to stabilize her. They tell us that the woman who commits this act is the same woman we have understood all along. There is no psychotic break, no collapse into madness, only resolve. The horror is not that Medea abandons her values. It is that she fulfills them. At some point, sympathy should fail. Infanticide should end understanding. It should sever it cleanly. The audience should be able to say, this is where comprehension stops. Euripides refuses to grant that relief. Instead, he traps the audience in an intolerable position. They understand exactly why Medea does what she does, and that understanding does not disappear when the act occurs. They recoil, they condemn, but they cannot pretend confusion. The danger is no longer Medea's reasoning. It is the audience's proximity to it. To understand her, they have had to walk beside her, and now they find themselves standing too close to the edge. This is not identification. It is complicity of perspective. At the end of the play, Medea escapes beyond Jason's reach. The mechanics of that escape matter less than what they deny the audience. There is no punishment that restores balance. No moment that cleanly separates understanding from horror. Nothing arrives to tell us we were wrong to follow her reasoning. And that is the point. The play does not ask us whether Medea is guilty. That question is trivial. It asks something far more disturbing. What if understanding itself is not a moral safeguard? What if the desire to trace causes, to honor suffering, to refuse simplifications, can carry us all the way to atrocity without ever forcing us to stop? Medea does not ask to be forgiven. She does not ask to be excused. She asks only to be understood. Euripides grants her that request completely. And then he leaves the audience holding an understanding they no longer want. When the play ends, nothing comforting remains. No moral reset. No reassurance that clarity leads to goodness. No confidence that insight protects us from horror. Only a question lingers. Quiet. Unavoidable. If understanding can lead us here, if coherence can survive the murder of children, if sympathy can walk beside atrocity without breaking, then what exactly is it worth? Medea does not show us a monster we failed to recognize. It shows us a person we understood too well, and it asks us to sit with the consequences of that fact. So let me ask you this. Should tragedy aim to teach moral clarity, or to expose just how fragile it is?